The thought that life could be better is woven indelibly into our hearts and our brains.
Well, hi, hello, and howdy, and welcome to another edition of our podcast, Finding Yourself in Paradise. My name's Michael Benner.
And I'm Steve Snyder, and as always, we are finding ourselves in paradise. And today's topic is great expectations, or do get your hopes up high. In fact, it's imperative that you get your hopes up really, really high. And we're going to tell you why.
One of the funniest philosophies around the idea of common sense, I guess, and something that I don't think makes much sense at all, but most people think, yeah, that's common sense, is the belief that it's more realistic to think negatively than positively.
Somehow, if you think negatively, you'll be ready when bad stuff happens, and if good stuff happens, it's a positive surprise. Whereas on the other side of the coin, if you're expecting good stuff to happen, then when good stuff happens, it's no big deal because you're expecting it, and when bad stuff happens, you're devastated. So that's how they're looking at it, I guess.
Well, one thing it certainly says is that the person that believes that they're better off thinking negatively most of the time and positively only on occasion is somebody that does not understand the power of thoughts.
That's for sure. And they don't understand that the fact that their life is negative most of the time and positive once in a while isn't a reflection of the thoughts, but rather created by the thoughts.
There are in Buddhist mythology a whole bunch of different variations of Buddha. I think there's like 14 of them or something. And
the laughing Buddha.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I wanted to point out, actually, the laughing Buddha. And years ago, I reflected for a point on what's so funny. And I'm not sure I know, of course, but the hit that I got at the time was the awareness, perhaps, that whatever we think about ourselves, about life in general, whatever we tend to focus on, goals and solutions, or all the reasons we could never get to our goals and solutions, all of our problems and so on, that we're going to gather evidence that we're absolutely right.
Yes.
And so the pessimist has a lot of evidence that, look, you as the optimist are foolish. But the optimist has all this evidence that the pessimist is creating his reality too. And again, some people have known this from the beginning of time, that the law of attraction, the secret, thoughts create reality. You go where you look, you reap what you sow. It's really embedded in all of our literature and myth and mythology. But one
of my favorites is John Wooden, the incredible coach at UCLA, who said, things work out best for people who make the best out of the way things work out.
Well, that's a nice philosophy. And even those who watch the, in the early part of the 21st century here a few years ago, this video and then the book called The Secret came out with what is the core law of metaphysics. Again, you do indeed reap what you sow.
Indeed.
And, the golden rule in relationships that we got from Moses and Confucius, the same kind of thing, treat others as you'd have them treat you. The seasons, the way things tend to, what goes around comes around. I guess it's known to people, but not too many people take it really as literally as they should, perhaps because so much happens to us that catches us off guard. It's like, well, wait, I didn't dream that up. I didn't ask for that. I didn't program or pray for that. So what's going on here? Just how much influence do I have?
Yeah, well, as we've said many times before, maybe not that much influence over the stimulus in your life, but boy, you sure can have a whole lot of influence over the attitude or the perception you have over what comes into your life, and then, of course, the behaviors, the actions you take on those stimuluses that come in. So you can have a lot of influence based on the way that you think, and there's really no doubt about it that people who are positive thinkers notice more positive things around them, and people who are negative thinkers notice more negative things around them. There's positive and negative that everybody notices, but it's so obvious that somebody who's thinking positive would more likely notice more positive things and therefore be in a better mood, be a little bit happier. So what's the pessimist got? Why does the pessimist want to not get their hopes up? Why are they so afraid? I mean, they're afraid of disappointment. Clearly, they're devastated by the thought of really wanting something and then not getting it. And like, how would that would be horrible. That would be so terrible. So it'd be better to not want anything, And they were probably told as children, don't get your hopes up too high. We wouldn't want you to be disappointed. It's probably an early childhood training. But what they don't get is that by putting pessimism as their lifestyle, what they're getting is a positive result. That's why they're doing it. They're getting the benefit of having the I told you so moment. The I was right. You see, I knew it wouldn't work. You see, I knew it would screw up.
Do you think they realize that?
I think they get such joy from it each time it happens that it reinforces the behavior. That a pessimist is unhappy all the way to the result where they get to say, see, I told you so, and that's the only happiness they're getting, and it feels so powerful to them that they'll do it again and again and again. The optimist, on the other hand, is happy on the way to finding out whether or not they're right. Optimists are wrong a lot. Optimists set really, really high goals and frequently don't, achieve everything they set out to achieve. In fact, if they get close to achieving what they want to achieve, they set an even higher goal sometimes. So the optimist knows the purpose isn't to achieve the goal. The purpose is to get as far as they can get. So it's a really just different way of living. The pessimist protects themselves from disappointment by setting very low goals, if any, and by being a pessimistic attitude that things will fail. And as a self-fulfilling prophecy, of course, they do. You can't guarantee success. There are too many outside factors that could play in, but you absolutely can guarantee failure.
Well, remember Manly Hall, the philosopher, contemporary 20th century philosopher, wrote in his big book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, about people who believe that they can program their reality, people who understand the law of attraction, so-called, that basic alchemy of refining and even manifesting with consciousness. Magic is really what we're talking about on one level or another. He said, it's very important to know what you want, specific and detailed, and to use altered states, to visualize yourself already having it. But then he wrote, and the phrase was something like, hold it gently in your palm. Because as it manifests, you may not only get what it is that you wanted, you might also get enfolded within it what you need.
See, that's the key. That's the most important key. Because it's really important to get your hopes up really high. It's really important to really know what you really want, what you big time want, what you want the most. It's really important to know that. And then to visualize, to imagine that you've got it, and to really have high expectations. But then you have to let it go and have no attachment to that being the result, because if you're attached to that being the result, then you're preventing the universe from giving you anything better. You're preventing the universe from giving you something you need more than that. So you, in your lack of infinite wisdom, your lower self thinks it wants these things. It wants this car, or wants this job, or it wants this particular relationship, but And so you imagine you have it, and that's wonderful, but then your higher self receives that suggestion. It's a suggestion. It's not a command. It's a suggestion. The higher self says, well, wait a minute, I could give you that, but you'd be way better off if I gave you this lesson instead. You'd be way better off if you had a little bit of heartbreak now in your life instead of things going so easy for you, because if you don't have some heartbreak right now, you're not going to grow into the kind of person who can have a real healthy relationship. So by saying, no, I want this relationship, and if I got heartbreak instead, it didn't work. Well, no, it worked, and your higher self gave you what you really needed. So you have to have high intention, but then low attachment. Hold it gently, because what you'll get may be exactly what you asked for. It may be something that's way better than what you asked for, obviously better, and it may be something that looks a whole lot worse than what you asked for, but in fact is exactly what you need.
It's interesting, in the basic religions of the world, the Chinese, essentially Confucianism and Taoism, looks at all that is, the universe, we'll say, God, the absolute, as a living thing, one living organism. And in Hinduism and Buddhism and some of the other Eastern philosophies, it's more of a drama or a play. And in Judeo-Christian and Islam, it's a refinement. It's redemption. Yeah. But whether it's a living thing or a play or redemption, it's all about getting better. I mean, that's
growth is the bottom line in it all.
Yeah, if it's living, it's growing and healing.
Yeah.
And so the idea of using altered states, prayer, meditation, visualization, the secret law of attraction, you reap what you sow, you get what you expect, where you go where you look in sports.
All that is so that you get to be in charge of the direction of the change and the speed of the change.
That's what free will is.
Yeah.
I think to be in the image of the Creator is to have the will to decide what it is you want to create. And that works on a lot of different levels, not just what we can manage with our hands and move around in the physical world, but there's a psychological level and an anthropological level and a theosophical level, a philosophical level. And yet, if the thread that seems to run through all of it, philosophy and religion and what have you, is growing and improving and getting better and unfolding and manifesting and healing, I mean, that's pretty wonderful to explore that and to allow that perhaps there's enough guidance in that even if I don't get exactly what I want, maybe I don't have to be all that willful. Maybe it is important to know what I want and be detailed and specific, but still, let loose of the reins a little bit and leave room for some adventure and some excitement and a little bit of fun here along the way.
See what the universe has to offer.
Yeah.
The basic idea here is that the fear is of disappointment, and there is no disappointment when you're not attached to the outcome. That is, if you have a high intention, that is, you know exactly what you want as best as you can of the menu that you create in your mind of all that's possible. This is the one you'd pick the most. This is the greatest best. Don't hold back. Don't settle for second best. You get to imagine the very, very best you can imagine of everything. This is saying to the universe, this is what we're shooting for. So why shoot for something less than that? Why say, okay, I'll shoot for like a little bit instead of a whole lot when I want a whole lot? Shoot for the whole lot. Then, once you know exactly what you want, you've imagined you've got it right now over and over again with great passion, you imagine what you've got, then you let it go to the universe and know the universe, your higher self, you're going to get back. Cause always has effect, right? You did something, it's going to have an effect. The effect that's going to come back is going to be your higher self's response to that suggestion that I get this by saying, yep, that's exactly what you're going to get. Or it's going to say, no, you weren't dreaming big enough. You're going to get something even better than that. Or it's going to say, well, you know what? You're not really ready for that. You need this lesson before you're ready to really understand and enjoy this lesson.
And the gift is in the learning the lesson through the adversity.
Yes.
And you're the person that needs to heal it. Or another of my favorites is to take the friction and lift the heat into light.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now,
that's redemption.
Honestly, my life now is better than I ever imagined it could be growing up. I never imagined I would live the life I'm allowed. I wasn't capable of imagining this. But if I need to get what I imagine, then I'm so limited because as a 20-year-old, as a 30-year-old, what I could imagine was way less than what now as a 56-year-old I'm able to imagine. So you don't want to be attached to getting what you're asking for.
Not only.
Yeah, because you'll get something, you might get it exactly, you might get something way, way, way better that you hadn't dreamed of. And again, if you get something worse, it's really because you need this. If you would have gotten what you asked for right now, you wouldn't have appreciated it. You need to do this or some reason your mind knows.
You got to allow for that.
Yeah, you need to go through stuff. Adversity is essential for growth. Mm-hmm. So when you ask for things to be easy, and nobody daydreams, visualizes things being hard. Everybody imagines it being. When you ask for it being easy, sometimes the universe will give you that because that's exactly what you need. Sometimes the universe is going to say, well, nope, you need a hard one this time. So high intention, low attachment, let go of the fear of disappointment. There is no disappointment when you're willing to accept whatever your higher self gives you, Happiness is really not about, it's really about wanting what you have instead of wanting what you don't have.
Then let's explore a little bit, Steve, the tendency that you and I recognize in our former selves, I'm sure, and certainly in others, to try to protect ourselves from disappointment. I mean, what are we really protecting? And where did we ever get the idea that we were so darn fragile?
Exactly. Well, parents do, in all good conscience, a bad job of parenting, often when they say things like, don't get your hopes up too high, we wouldn't want you to be disappointed. Now, think about it. I mean, obviously what they're attempting to do is protect their child from something that hurts, something that's painful. That's a good intention, theoretically. Don't run out in the street because that would hurt if a car hit you. That's a good intention. But what they don't understand, I think, or they must not have thought through, is that if they isolate their child from disappointment in childhood, and therefore they build up no resistance for it, no ability to tolerate it, no experience with it, when they ultimately do grow up and experience disappointment, and you can't tell me you think that's not going to happen. I mean, you can't tell me any human being is expected to get through this life without having some disappointment, then they're going to be devastated by it. Your child, who you protected from disappointment in childhood, when they get to be a teenager or a grown-up and they finally do experience disappointment, they're going to be, well, it's just going to wreck them. They won't have any coping mechanisms. You're not helping children by preventing them from experiencing the bumps, the grinds. You don't want them to experience life-threatening danger. I mean, you're not going to say, you don't want them to run into the street. But to be disappointed that they didn't get that present they wanted, that's a good growth lesson. They need that kind of disappointment growing up.
Well, I think talking about devastation, that even to say to a child, oh, gosh, Michael, I just don't want you to get your hopes up, that is devastating.
It is. Because it's saying, we don't believe you're capable of achieving the thing you're hoping for. Yeah. It's really...
When I remember hearing that as a child, and I didn't get it much from my parents, but I think society is permeated with it.
It is.
It's a so-called conventional wisdom that is not true. I felt like, oh, well, that means, and I have to incorporate this into my belief system as a person who aspires to be intelligent and rational. And
commonsensical.
What it means is, sooner or later, you're going to fail. And I got the image of don't get your hopes up as don't fly too high. Because since sooner or later you're going to fail, then that would be a horrible crash. But if you flew close to the ground, because eventual failure, we know, Michael, has got to happen, then the crash won't be so bad. Well, somewhere along the line, I broke out and just said, I'd rather fly high, regardless of the consequences.
It seems to me the higher I fly, the more time I have to figure out what to do before I crash. I don't want to be flying low. I want to be flying way up high. Getting your hopes up really, really, really high. I mean, even beyond the probable to the highly improbable.
Why not?
But this side of the impossible.
Why not?
The mind will not go for the impossible. No. It won't. But it will. It will go for the highly improbable. In fact, it doesn't care much about the odds. It cares about the size of the prize. For example, if I say, put $1 on the table and I'm going to flip a coin. If it comes up heads, you double your money. If it comes up tails, you lose your $1. Your odds are pretty good, right around 50-50, but the size of the prize is so minuscule, $1, you're not really highly motivated.
That's because of the emotional nature is more involved.
Exactly.
In creating the outcome than the mental logic of, well, let's look at these mathematical statistics and study the odds.
Yeah. If I said put $1 on the table and I'm going to enroll you in a $200 million lottery, now your odds are 1 in a billion. You're more likely to get hit by lightning twice in the same morning, but nonetheless, every day, hundreds and hundreds of millions of people do this. Right. And I think, by the way, and we've talked about this before, I think buying a lottery ticket is a brilliant idea. I think buying 2 is very stupid.
Right. Buy 1.
Buy 1 so you can dream. You can't win if you don't play, but your odds of winning aren't doubled by buying 2. In fact, your odds of winning are 0, essentially. So it's not about winning. It's about dreaming. Put $1 in the lottery. That makes your mind dream more. You dream about what you would do if you had $100 million. Well, you know what? The lottery's not the only way to get $100 million. There's many other ways. Many more people have gotten $100 million other ways than the lottery. The lottery is one of the least likely ways, maybe the least likely way.
I had a teacher that used to say it very cleanly and clearly, I think. She would say often, emotions are the power factor of manifestation.
Yeah. We talk about the gas pedal, instead of, and the steering wheel is the thought.
I think technically, if I were to teach it, or when I teach it, I guess I am right now.
You do. Here we go.
I might say it a little differently. I think the idea, the ideation, or the mental part is the power, and that the emotion is the force.
The force, yeah.
Behind it. That's the push. That's the amperage. Yeah. Or no, the voltage. The amperage would be the mental, the idea. And then the electromagnetic force is the EMF is the voltage. That's the push behind it. Emotions, call it power, call it force. That's the drive. That's what creates it. So
yeah.
And again, magnetic. It's a stronger magnetic field. The law of attraction is a magnetic law. We create the consciousness and attract it.
And the more passion, that's the force. The more passion, the greater the attraction. Yeah. The more energy you put into it. So that's why it's really important to imagine the thing you want the very most, because that's what evokes the most passion. I mean, the heart is not motivated by small dreams. It's just not moved by things that are kind of nice. It wants wonderful. It wants awesome. It wants fantastic. And you're best served by imagining fantastic, by giving the universe the order for what you'd most like. Yeah. And then, like Mick Jagger said, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need.
We are not fragile. We're spiritual beings. We're not fragile. Physically, we're somewhat vulnerable, mentally and emotionally. Yeah, sure, we have our vulnerabilities, but we heal. And the mental and emotional versions of physical healing is that we learn and understand and get better. We're refined by the process.
You know, disappointment is just not that damaging. It's just not that big a deal. It's not like a broken heart. You know, it's not like it's not that bad. Disappointment is essentially something that is caused by you holding on, and the tighter you hold on, the more it hurts when you let go. So if you only hold gently, or if you don't even hold on at all, if you just have a high intention and no attachment whatsoever, know the universe will give you the right thing, there is no disappointment. And even if there is disappointment, well, you know, get over it. You know, you're holding yourself away from great dreams because of the fear of a little teeny boo-boo. You know, it doesn't hurt that much.
Well, let's turn it up a notch. I think another factor in all this, Steve, is the connotation of failure. And now I have failed, or I have become a failure, when in fact it's just as easy to say, this is not failure. It may be a mistake, but I haven't failed because, in fact, it's an opportunity to learn, and that could be a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I think school messes us up here, where the wrong answer is always a bad thing.
Exactly.
When in fact...
Like failure is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an automatic failure. It's an F. It's the worst thing you can do. But you cannot name a successful person who didn't get there through failing forward. You cannot name anybody who has a successful life who didn't make mistakes and learn from them. That's what failure... Failure is a wonderful thing in context. I mean... Failure is the way you succeed. You know, it's the only way to succeed, is to fail and fail and fail and learn and learn and learn and then ultimately succeed. There is no, this is a wonderful line.
Ready, aim, fire, aim, aim, aim.
Yeah, exactly. We're guided missiles. Right. There is no failure in not realizing all that you might dream. The failure is in not dreaming all that you might realize. There's no failure in setting huge goals and getting most of the way there. The failure is in setting little goals and getting all the way there.
This is insidious stuff. I was probably 30 years old before I decided it was okay not to finish a book I was reading. I thought it was
failure.
I thought it was against the law that my high school teacher from 15 years ago was going to come and get me. That it was evidence that I was bad, wrong, stupid, and evil. And Michael, you didn't finish the book. Wait a minute. I bought the book. Maybe I even enjoyed the first third of the book. But didn't pay off. I got better things to do. I don't have to finish the book. I mean,
Michael, you're a very fast learner, and you learn a lot of things faster than me. But I have to say, I learned that one at 3.
Well, you read it.
I was 3 when I realized I don't have to finish a damn book. You know?
I am serious, and you're an excellent reader, and you didn't have to finish. No, I'm serious, Steve. Maybe it was the Catholic upbringing more than my parenting. But
I think it's
you didn't finish something,
that's failure.
Yeah.
And clearly, a thinking person can see that starting something and then realizing that's not what you want doesn't deserve to be finished. You know, not everything started deserves to be finished. Something deserves to be thrown in the trash, you know?
And it accomplished what it was supposed to in my life. It taught me that this kind of literature might be appealing at first, but in this particular case, no payoff. I'm out of here. I have the right. So we label ourselves as failures, I'm afraid, in some cases, when we get disappointed, and use it in a rather perverse way to tear ourselves apart. Here's the sad thing, because it's often familiar from childhood. Mm-hmm. It's not comfort. People, Sometimes therapists talk about your comfort zone. You're repeating it because it's your comfort zone. Well, we repeat a lot of stuff that's not comfortable.
Familiar.
But it's familiar.
Yeah, familiar sort of takes the place of comfortable for some people.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm a failure. I'm no good.
That's
I'm
right.
a born sinner.
I know this place. Let's go back. Yeah, this place didn't kill me last time. Let's go back here. So as long as you keep thinking the way you've been thinking, you're going to keep getting the things you've been getting. It's pretty obvious and pretty basic. So what we're saying is try something new here. Try getting your hopes up really, really high and understand that if you have no attachment or not only a gentle attachment to needing to get that outcome and being open to a better outcome or an outcome more valuable to you, boy, there isn't any disappointment. And if there is, walk through it.
So besides learning from the mistake, learning from what other people might call failure, and we're talking about today is mere disappointment, what else can we do to reframe disappointment to a good thing, or at least remind ourselves that we're not all that fragile, that we can go to pieces without falling apart? I mean, take young people who are dating, and one has their heart set on a relationship with this other person, and the other person doesn't, oh no, a broken heart, the worst thing in the world. Don't you think we got to take a look at how we set ourselves up for that? Something?
Yeah, and that's really one of the most severe kinds of disappointment is a broken heart. Most other disappointments much easier to deal with than that one. But even that one, you do realize that by experiencing that broken heart in that relationship and learning about yourself from it, not learning about the person that you broke up with you, but
that's
learning
important.
About yourself from that broken relationship, then you're way more likely to be successful in the next relationship. And you don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you anyway. So the person that broke up with you, that's good. When somebody breaks up with you, even though it hurts more theoretically when somebody breaks up with you than when you break up with somebody. But when somebody breaks up with you, you know you made the right choice not being with them. Because you don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you. When you break up with somebody else, you might have second thoughts, should I have done this? But when somebody breaks up with you, it's clear this is the wrong person for me. Because my idea of a 10 is a 7 who likes me. I like the fact that they want to be with me is way high on my scale of approval,
So that understanding from a mental point of view helps. But still, disappointment, don't you think it's more of an emotion than a way of thinking? I mean, they're interrelated, certainly.
They are. There's absolutely an emotional aspect, a huge emotional aspect to disappointment. And it equates to that feeling of failure.
Well, as I think about it, Steve, I'm thinking that it might go even deeper than failure to a sense of real inadequacy, just fundamental, I'm not good enough. Yeah. Not only did I mess up in this instance, but that's me. That's who I am. Maybe that's a reason to try to protect ourselves from disappointment.
Yeah, because if we keep that low opinion of ourselves, we're unlikely to experience much disappointment. We get to replace it with that "I told you so." I knew it wouldn't work.
We should talk about that again, Steve. I think that's really heavy, and you zoom through it. I've heard you say it before. The benefit that the pessimist gets, that the optimist is willing to forego.
Yes. The pessimist gets one significant benefit, and that is they get to be right virtually every single time. Because if they predict failure in an endeavor they're involved in, and they can create that failure, even subconsciously, even below their level of awareness. But certainly if they don't think they deserve to succeed, they may subconsciously put a monkey wrench in the works and find a way to fail. People do it every day. Sabotage themselves somehow. Sabotage themselves. Forget an appointment or, bounce a check or just do something without thinking unconsciously because they're expecting to fail. And people get a lot of what they expect. So pessimists have the advantage of being right. I mean, virtually every time I'm not going to get my hopes up because I don't think it's going to work. And see, I was right. It didn't work. The pessimistic baseball player gets up to the plate and says, I'm never going to get hit. No way I'm going to get hit. I mean, I suck at baseball. I can't get. They strike out. They say, see, I told you so. I told you I suck at baseball. I was right. Or on the other hand, the optimistic baseball player, every time they get to the plate, even though they know, every time they get to the plate, they think, this is the time I'm going to get hit. For sure I'm going to get hit this time. I'm due. This is. And, even the guys in the Hall of Fame only do it 1 out of 3. I mean, the greatest ball players in the history fail 2/3 of the time. But, of course, they don't see that as failure. They see that as one more step to my next hit, you know. You have to have a positive, optimistic attitude about it. So the pessimist has a terrible time on the way to finding out that they're right, that one moment of happiness, whereas the optimist has a wonderful time on the way to finding out if they're right. And you know what? A lot of times the optimist isn't right because they set their sights too high, because they set their goals at more than they're capable of achieving. But you know what? They achieved way more than they would have if they set their goals low. Yes, they didn't achieve all of their goals, but they achieved so much, and they're very, very happy with what they did achieve. And that's the key. So the optimist can end up in a happy place if they aren't attached to the outcome. The pessimist ends up in a happy place because they are attached to a negative outcome.
I just think that's wonderful insight, and I hope our listeners will spend some time with that. There's one more thing I want to mention briefly, which is... and I'm sure we have lots of folks who can relate to this, and that's the confusion around the word sin. When I was a little boy, in public school, I used that word in the second or third grade, and my teacher said there was no such word. And then in catechism, the nun said there was. I remember very well, as a little boy of 7 or 8, being confused around that. But the reason I bring it up is because essentially the word simply means to miss the mark, to make a mistake, to, oops, messed up. Okay, won't do that again. You know, learn my lesson. I'll see it coming a mile down the road next time, boy. And that would be a wonderful thing to, quote, be a sinner.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like the common accepted definition of that. Yeah, somehow.
In fact, in the, I think, 14th or 15th century, a Jesuit priest in Germany named Eckhart, Master Eckhart.
I remember that name.
He was found guilty by the Inquisition of heresy, even though he was a priest himself, for teaching, among other concepts, that you should never wish that you had not sinned. For how else could you learn, right? And to the church, that was heresy.
Yeah.
They were about to execute him. He died of old age before they could.
Wow.
But he felt he was teaching the gospel by saying, well, everybody sins, and it's rarely deliberate. It's usually an accident, so cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
The church was afraid that was saying that sin is a good thing if you can learn from it, and that conundrum exists to this day.
But there's so many sins. I mean, if you take the books literally, almost everything you do is a sin. I mean, so you can't live in the 21st century, I don't think, without sinning virtually every day of your life if you literally follow. I mean, maybe you could. I don't want to say nobody could be, but it would be very challenging, it seems to me. So we create our own code. I mean, you know, people choose their own codes, of values and ethics and morals, and maybe they choose to choose a book, and maybe they choose to partially choose part of a book, and however they do that, we have our own way of doing that. But if we don't live within that, if we sin based on our definition of sinning, quote unquote, if we know that we want to live a life as a truth teller and we're lying, then we know that, and we punish ourselves when we punish ourselves when we do that. So
we can learn to be disciplined without feeling like a sinner,
yep.
without feeling like a failure, or without believing that essentially we're just inadequate, bad, stupid, or wrong, and see ourselves as wonderful, successful, growing women and men who are learning from their mistakes.
And who deserve to ask for everything they want.
Yep.
They may not get everything they want, but they absolutely deserve to ask for it and imagine having it, because that's the only way the universe can have a clue as to what to give you.
How to serve us.
How to serve. If you don't ask for what you want, you're going to get what you get. If you ask for what you want, you at least have a chance of getting what you want. You also have a chance of getting something better than what you want. And if you get something that appears to be worse than what you want, believe it's really probably the lesson you need.
Another thing we could say about disappointment is that because it tends to hurt, even if only a little bit, or sometimes maybe a lot, it's a so-called negative feeling, and that means it's fear-based.
Right.
So to be afraid of the feeling is perfectly understandable, as if the hurt is never going to go away. But again, the nature of all things is to heal and to grow. If I get my hedge clippers out and trim the plant vertically from getting taller, it'll grow out to the side, but the growth is ongoing.
It's going to grow. We get to determine the direction and the speed if we want to, or we can just let it happen.
A broken bone, once mended, is stronger than before. If I tear down my muscles lifting weights, they not only return, but they get even bigger. I mean, if we just look at the nature of things, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. So let's say disappointment does hurt. I don't think it hurts that much personally, but to some people, they have no preparation for it. They find it kind of devastating. Let's say, at worst case scenario, you really do get your hopes up real, real high and you're really just disappointed. I mean, big time disappointed. Well, in the big picture, to the extent that you allowed yourself to feel that pain, that negative feeling, you have now expanded your ability to experience joy and happiness and wonder and awe.
Right.
So even at its worst, even if disappointment is that bad, well, on the other side of it, you're going to be happier, the ability to be happier, more excited, more enthusiastic than you've ever been before.
Right.
That's the worst case scenario.
And be careful of the drama that goes with using disappointment to garner sympathy, because we all want love, but sympathy is not love. And getting sympathy is a way of being, the center of attention, and everybody feels sorry for you. But that is not love. Sympathy does not heal things. Right. Sympathy does not grow things.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And remember this. If you want to tell somebody else your sob story, you got to know the reason they're listening to you is because they know you're going to have to listen to theirs. So if you don't want to listen to other people's sob stories, quit telling your own. If you're sick of hearing other people's victim stories, then don't be telling your own.
My turn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm listening, but I know you're going to finish, and then it's going to be my turn.
Let's do an audio journey.
Let's do an audio journey. I'd be disappointed if we didn't.
All right. And you deal with it, I'll bet.
That's right. I'm magnificent at dealing with it.
Maybe learn from it even.
In fact, whenever I get close to something I really, really want, I always disappoint that as my goal and appoint a next goal. So I am disappointed on the way through because it's no longer what I want. It's what I got.
That's interesting. I'll have to reflect on that.
Think about
later.
that one.
Yeah, I will.
People don't want what they've got. People want what they don't got. So before you get something that you want, decide what you want next and celebrate getting this one on the way through it.
There's a wanderlust. We all have aspirations and longings and desires to essentially grow, to get better. I think, again, basic alchemy. This is lead to gold. This is water to wine. It's the fishes and the loaves and the, what do they call the bread with the yeast in it? The leavened bread versus the unleavened bread.
The matzah.
This is refinement. This is improvement. This is going from, 12 karat to 14 to 18 to...
Yep.
What's pure gold? 22 karat or something?
24, I think.
Better and better every day in every way. That is life. That is life. And so how could you be disappointed in the context of knowing it's all part of the growth process?
And even if you are disappointed, know that it's going to lead to you being more excited, more enthusiastic, and more passionate on the other side.
There you go. Rock and roll. Close your eyes and relax.
Release as you wage inner peace.
From the top of your head to the soles of your feet, feel the letting go.
And know that as your body relaxes and your emotions calm and your mind removes the haze and moves into crisp clarity, with every breath you exhale, the intensity of your focus increases. And with every breath you inhale, your passion enhances.
Imagine yourself in paradise, a beautiful place of perfect peace. Probably outdoors, a garden. Could be anywhere in the world or maybe in another world. The most beautiful, peaceful, and natural place. A place of ideal relaxation, and awaken all of your imaginary senses and see it. And imagine hearing it and smelling it and tasting it.
And feeling safe. Really feeling safe.
Now, I'd like you to imagine that you're wearing maybe a suit of armor or chainmail or a flak vest that represents the way we defend ourselves from disappointment.
To protect ourselves by keeping our hopes low, by setting our sights down, by allowing our expectations to be very, very small.
And I'd like you to drop your guard and lower your defenses.
Throw off the armor, throw off the chainmail.
That's it. Drop it.
And stand vulnerable and yet safe.
That's it. Imagine that. There's harmony there. That's not contradictory. Steve said, vulnerable and safe.
In paradise.
Because you can handle it.
You are safe.
And you'll be better for it.
And so here in paradise, it is safe to get your hopes up real high. Here in paradise, it is safe to have outrageous hopes, to believe the possibility of the highly improbable. Here in paradise, the sky is no longer the limit. Your imagination is limitless. What would be the best that you could possibly imagine? Be it in your relationship or career or in your health or finances, be it in parenting. Pick an area, pick every area. What would be the best? I mean, even if it's really unlikely, everybody who participates in the Olympics imagines winning the gold medal, not the silver. Imagine the best.
And feel how that feels. Go for it. Do it. And you'll never, ever have to wonder how well you would have done at it. Because you took a chance. You risked. Knowing that you can handle a little disappointment. Set those great expectations. Dream big dreams. As Thoreau once said, build your castles in the sky. That's where they belong. And then put foundations under them.
Not everyone who dreamed big achieved big. But no one who dreamed small achieved big. So dream big. What's the best? What's the very best? And once you ascertain what's the very best, see if you can think of something a little bit better. A little bit better. Just a little bit better. When you think you've got the best you can, well, you can maybe find a little bit more that's even better than that. And if you imagine the very best and imagine that you have it now as if it's already true, it's already you, it's already something you are or can do, imagine it now and then find the peace to take the dream and let go. But take the dream and release. And let the universe give you the outcome that's best for you. Perhaps it's exactly what you dreamed, or something better could come true, or maybe something that doesn't look so good, but it's the adversity you need. Allow the universe to show you what's right for you in word and in deed.
Ray Bradbury said, "Jump off the cliff. You'll grow wings on the fall."
And in your imagination, you can.
You have resources yet unimagined. Resources needing development. Take a chance. Risk. Test yourself. Go for it. Know that it's guaranteed that you are more than you've imagined. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Hopefully this will help you. The Hubble telescope, before we put a telescope outside of the Earth's environment, we could not see into deep space the way we now can. And what astronomers and regular folks like you and me and Steve have found out is that deep space is more magnificently beautiful than we ever imagined, and further, more mysterious. For we are learning about phenomena in deep space that at least appear to violate certain laws of physics that we know to be true. There's more in you, just like deep space. Look inward. There is so much in there. Know that about yourself. You don't need to know exactly what it is, but I'll tell you the path. I'll give you the compass and the map. It has less to do with what you think about than what you care about. Follow your bliss, follow your heart, believe in your dreams, and set great expectations.
And dream big. Dream really, really big, and allow yourself to know that the universe will give you exactly what you need. Let go of the dream once it's clear, once it's in your mind, once you know exactly what you want, let go, so that the universe can give you something better than you imagined. In fact, if you let go, the universe is capable of giving you something better than you could imagine. Mm-hmm. So you must let go. To hold on to that, needing that outcome means you're preventing the universe from giving you something better. And it will. It'll give you what you asked for or something better. If it doesn't appear better, if it appears worse, it's because enfolded in it is the lesson you need to learn to be able to appreciate what you asked for.
And so, open yourself to accepting this philosophy, to reinforce it, to affirm it right now, silently, in your mind and in your heart.
Choose to be an optimist.
Say to yourself, these guys are right, because it's echoed somewhere deep in my nature, what these fellows are saying.
Feels right.
Yeah. And you can feel that, so affirm it.
And so, by imagining myself happier and more successful and more wonderful, I think that might just feel good.
Yeah.
It just might. I think I'll give that a shot.
And bring those feelings with you as you begin to reorient yourself toward the sound of our voices, thinking about the room or the space in which you sit, the chair or pillow upon which you sit.
And as you feel ready to face the world, take a deep breath and bring yourself back to wide awake. Wide awake with a new sense of, I can dream big now because disappointment is easy.
Yeah.
I can handle that. And just a word to you parents out there, you who are fortunate enough to have the most difficult job on the planet, by sharing with your children that this thing they want to do is likely to disappoint them is valuable information they should hear. That if you still want to do this, I'm telling you, it's likely you'll be disappointed. This won't be. That's a valuable experience for them to go do it and for you to be right, that they were in fact disappointed. But for you to say, don't do this experience because I want to protect you from disappointment, then what happens later is when they face disappointment as an older child or a young adult, they have no mechanism for coping with it. And you're not serving your children by not letting them build those mechanisms, those coping mechanisms. Disappointment is inherent in life. So parents, share with your children what disappointment's about and that they can pick themselves up and go on to the next thing. And it's okay to be disappointed.
Yeah. Err on the side of letting the child be responsible, maybe even a little earlier than your parents allowed you to be responsible.
And we're not talking about in like running out into the street. No. We're not, we're talking about
appropriate.
Yeah, just appropriate behavior. If they want to wear some funny-looking clothes, and let them wear some funny-looking clothes.
They'll figure it out. They'll find out for themselves. Let your kids make, in an appropriate way, let them make some mistakes.
Non-dangerous mistakes are okay.
Let them learn for themselves. It's, we all want to protect our kids and even our friends and others from the hazards of living in the world. But again, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's sort of a crude way of saying life is growth, healing, and unfoldment.
Wage inner peace. Get your hopes up that it'll make a big difference in the world.
Take your friends to FocusedPassion.com. Remember the ED, that's FocusedPassion.com. Get them signed up, just like you did, for only 99 cents a week.
We have great expectations that millions will do so. Billions of people will be
Raising
listening.
as we speak, your expectations.
Raise billions. Just a few billions, all we ask.
As always, be gentle of life and take care of each other. For Steve Snyder, this is Michael Benner.
The thought that life could be better is woven indelibly into our hearts and our brains.